If you want to get fluent in English, you must avoid these 7 things. Number 1, never learn without speaking to. Language learning is often like this. We read it from a book, but that's not enough to speak fluently, because fluent speaking of English involves a skill of taking words from your brain and getting them out of your mouth. The only way to develop this is not just to read words, but speak them at the same time. Make sure that when you learn new language, you speak it out too, because you have to train your brain to get the words to your mouth. Number 2, never think, I shouldn't speak in case I make a mistake. A lot of students I know think like this. They think they have to speak perfectly. Otherwise, people are going to laugh at them. And perhaps it's not acceptable to speak with mistakes. This is not the case. People generally don't think less of you if you make mistakes when speaking a language. They're generally more like this. They're just really happy that you've been able to communicate successfully with them, whether there are mistakes or not. So never let your mistakes be a barrier to your fluency. Develop your grammar, develop your vocabulary, but develop your fluency at the same time. Don't wait for the grammar and vocabulary before working on the fluency. Number 3, never think accent is the most important thing. Accent is the way that you make sounds in your local language. And some people think, I can't speak English using my local accent. I can't speak English with a Chinese accent or Arabic accent or a French accent, a Spanish accent, a Portuguese accent, or even a Thai accent. People often think you have to speak English with maybe an American accent or a British accent. This is not the case. Because English is a global language, people are speaking English with all kinds of accents. So that little variation you make when you speak doesn't matter so much anymore. If you speak English with your own local accent, usually the person listening to you will say that's absolutely fine. What does matter is the particular features of English speaking that native English speakers hold to across the world, regardless of accent. Things such as stress, rhythm, features of connected speech. And these features are all covered in my course. This course helps you to learn and practice everything you need to speak English in a way that will make you easily understood. It's not about accent, it's about other things. There's a link in the description below this video where you can find out more. Number 4 is never stop learning new words. Yes, fluency is a skill you learn, but if you don't have the words, of course, you will reach a point in a conversation where it stops and you can't say any more because you haven't got the words to use. What do you need to do? Do you need to learn the entire English language? It's not as hard as that. Most researchers believe in this. Some estimates suggest that around 3,000 words are necessary to achieve basic fluency. 3,000 words. It sounds like a lot, but it's actually just this: 10 words a day for a year. So if you learn 10 words every day, within 300 days, less than a year, you'll know all of the words you need for fluency, according to most estimates. And there are a number of resources on the internet that cover the basic 3,000 words, such as the Oxford 3000. Number 5, never try to get fluent without speaking to someone else. Well, yes, there is some value to practicing speaking on your own. If you really can't find someone else, speaking on your own will help a bit. But in order to get fluent English going properly, it needs to be done in a conversation so that you are responding to people in real time. They ask you questions and you're practicing getting those words from your mind to your lips as you hear the questions. You can't fully replicate that on your own. So you need to find a group of people to be speaking English with. If you can't find a physical group of people, you can always go online. And this leads to number 6. Never think I can't do it until I get to an English-speaking country. The world has changed. There are English speakers in every part of the world. It's much easier to find other people who you could speak English with. So make some friends with people who are also interested in learning English. Remember, you don't need to be speaking to someone who's perfect in English. What's more important is you're working on your own skills of making those connections between your brain and your mouth so that the words can come out. And online, there are groups of people who get together on platforms such as Facebook, where for no charge you can join a group of people speaking English, and it still practices those same skills of developing fluency. 7, never think it's not working. And this perhaps is the most common reason why people give up. They practice speaking, they practice learning English, but they can't see any progress. It's much harder to see your own progress than someone else's. Language learning often works a bit like this. When you learn language or practice language, you're planting seeds in the ground. For a period of time, growth happens, but the growth is all underground. You don't see it. It's only later that the full plant emerges. So don't worry if you're in the second stage. Don't worry if you can't see your progress. If you are doing something, in other words, learning the language, practicing speaking, working on your fluency, you are making progress. Things are growing. You are a step further ahead, whether you can see it or not. Do not give up. You will see that tree of language grow up in the end if you don't give up. So don't think, how much have I improved in a week or 2 weeks or a month? You need to give it longer than that. And I assure you, you'll see the results. Let me remind you of my course that's going to help you along your way, Advanced English Speaking and Pronunciation. Click on the link in the description below this video to find out more.